Good evening and welcome to the Disney Discord podcast. You are live with Graham and Bernardo. Sorry, a bit rusty. It's been a long time. I'm Graham and I am joined by
Bernardo from the Main Street News. Welcome, everyone. It has been a long time since we've done one of these. I mean,
I'm
I think
pretty sure that's
like
my
March
fault.
or no, not at all. But yeah, it's been quite a long. So a lot of stuff has happened since then. So we have some things to chat about. So that's good.
Well, what do you want to talk about first? There's been so much. I think you want to go with The Lion King, don't you? Because you never shut up about it.
Well, I mean, we can start with The Lion King. We can start with World of Frozen. That's coming along very nicely and opening soon. Or we can go to Orlando for the Magic Kingdom with Cars and the Rivers of America whole thing that's happening over there.
Let's start with World of Frozen, because we'll be able to go through that pretty quick. World of Frozen is on its way. It's getting very close. It's an almost exact replica of what they built in Hong Kong and what they built in what already existed in Orlando and was upgraded from the old Norway pavilion. So it's pretty cool. It's only one attraction, a restaurant and a shop. Am I right?
Yes, you do have the meet and greet location also that takes you inside the castle to meet royalty. But I mean, the World of Frozen, it's not opening by itself. There's a whole other major expansion that World of Frozen is part of. So you do have 2 rides, you have several restaurants, you have a major nighttime spectacular that's coming along that's not Phantasmic, even if you really wanted that. So there's a lot to be excited about for next year. And I mean, I
think I'm honestly more excited about the expansion of the lake and the infrastructure around the lake and the daytime water show and the nighttime water and drone and lasers, and there's really expensive lights that have started appearing around the lake. So I'm really excited to see the nighttime entertainment and kind of what it does for Walt Disney Studios. We were talking earlier on in the channels here on Discord, and if you're listening to this somewhere else and aren't on Discord, please do join us because we chat about absolutely everything and anything. But we were talking about how it's probably the end of Tower of Terror shows for mainstream entertainment in the Walt Disney Studios, and how it's more likely always going to be lake-based now.
Yes, absolutely. It appears that the show control room, the projectors, and all the show infrastructure that was there for the Tower of Terror nighttime shows and spectaculars, it's gone. It's been removed. This is not confirmed, of course, but if this is the case, I mean, it makes sense to bring everything into one place. Although I did enjoy, and I quite enjoyed Tower of Terror as a backdrop for a show, because if you compare it to the castle, there's a lot more surface to project on. So it's really good for projection mapping. But I mean, it does make sense to combine everything in one location, and the lake has been built with that in mind. I mean, there's different levels for people to spread across, and everyone can have a okay view into the lake and its projections, the screens, the fountains, and everything that they're gonna add in that water.
The main benefits when you're an Epcot nighttime spectacular is that you actually need to turn up very early. Like, you can get the absolute best view by being there early, but you don't have to. You can turn up with 2 minutes to showtime to go and still get a very good look, because the lake, the circumference of the lake is just so massive. There's a lot more viewing angles and a lot more areas you can stand, and if you've got children, you can have them playing at the side and stuff. Whereas certainly in the Magic Kingdom and certainly in Disneyland Paris, you're standing in the castle hub, there is limited space, it chokes up, people can't move past, This is really cool because other than kind of the World of Frozen, which is going to be right at the back, if there's a nighttime show on, the front of the Walt Disney Studios, or Disney Adventure World as it will become, is going to be nice and empty. You're going to be able to move about and get to those attractions and really enjoy yourself. There's going to be nothing that stops you, partaking in the full experience of the park if you do not want to see the nighttime spectacular. Because the thing is, once you've seen a nighttime spectacular, you may wish to then get a lower queue on Crush's coaster, which will be opening late and will probably have lower queues now.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something that the Disneyland Park really cannot. You can't do that because Fantasyland closes every single day because of the drones. Even if there's no drones because of the weather, it closes like every single attraction in Fantasyland. That cuts the park in half. And then you have all the paths that get closed also for everything. And this project and the way they've designed the park, I think, will really be an incredible way, as you said, to enjoy the park. If you're not watching the show, which becomes impossible quite at the Disneyland Park. If you want to go from Frontierland or from Big Thunder to Space Mountain, like half an hour before the show, forget it. You're not doing that. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Or if you can, but it's not very pleasant, No. That's something that I think, and as you said, Adventure World will not suffer with. But yeah, so I'm very excited.
We've also started to see, they've now reconditioned the whole front of the park. There's still obviously some walls up, but they've now started completing the sort of ground infrastructure, the trees, the benches, the walkway in Studio One, which world premiere as it's now called. It's starting to take shape. We've got that massive Disney sign at the end, which is a massive improvement. They've improved the walkways inside it. Both of us were quite amazed at the difference in the flow. I don't think the restaurant's particularly that much better, and I don't think the shop is that much better. Like, I'm not entirely convinced they've exploited all the opportunity they had there, but they've done enough to get you in the park through a better experience. Could they have gone further? Could they have put in automated doors? Yes, I really don't understand why during one of the most massive closures of that studio they never thought, let's put in some automatic doors, because they're huge. They're big, huge, heavy doors that swing back and forth. And I think that I got so used to being able to just go past Studio One and just get into the park within 2 seconds going around the outside. I still think they're missing a trick, and they should let us do that if you want to just get in or out quickly.
No, yeah, I agree. The doors is an issue that I think it's because of the environmental laws in France. So you can't have like air-conditioned spaces with open doors, and that's why they also now have those signs on the doors for every shop, every restaurant throughout the park that says open or closed, because the doors are always closed. So if they, I think if the doors were or did not exist or were open every time, I think that'd be perfect. Or even automatic doors, as you said. But you did bring an important point. That was that 1 year that Studio One was closed, the bypassing that whole building, it became quite. It was simpler, It was it was different. And coming back into Studio One, I love the world premiere area. I think it's very well done. I think there are definitely some misses, but a lot of highs as well. But having that path to the left was just so much simpler, and it just got into the park.
It's the studio's version of the arcades. It's just,
it is,
a wonderful. I'm not saying they could theme it a bit more. I totally understand. It felt like a backstage area. You could totally give it a theme or something. But I definitely think they need a rapid entry and exit system where you can just get in quickly, get out quickly, because we have a 10-month-old girl now, and getting a buggy and things through those big doors is just an added complexity, and you've got to stop and open it, and then people are coming out it, and just going around the side was so lovely to just bypass all that nonsense. I feel bad because they've spent a lot of money and a lot of time inside, and we're asking for a bypass for it, but it's lovely inside, but it's kind of like being forced to experience. It's kind of like you will take the full Main Street experience, even if there's a parade on. You will experience this.
Exactly. But I think that once the park closes at dawn after the show, they're gonna open that door for people to bypass it, because the crowds are going to be quite huge coming down Adventure Way and that whole street, reaching that what is kind of a bottleneck, the Studio One. So they probably will open it.
there was a great documentary about Walt Disney and the design of the parks, and one of the things he always said is deliberately they tried not to have straight paths, Main Street being the exception, and the whole reason you don't want a straight path from the entrance to anything is because you don't want people thinking, we have to walk in one direction. That park is to be explored, not. And I think that, if you think about your entrance to Disney Studios just now, you walk through the gate, you walk in a straight line into Studio One, you walk straight line through Studio One, World Premiere, I should stop calling it Studio One.
Yeah.
And then you come out the other side and you go in a straight line all the way down Adventure Way to Adventure Bay or whatever we're calling it. So it is a lot of straight lines. And I think
it is. It's definitely the moment you step foot outside World Premiere, you're going to just be able to see Frozen that's on the other side of the park, and that's kind of like being at the end of Main Street and being able to see parts of the Caribbean. Like I think the measurements are about or close. So it's if you think about it, it's strange, and it's not really something that Disney parks are used to. But in a way, it gives that kind of big weenie to the park at the end of the street. So it's
not really.
We're gonna have to
really
experience it.
It's not really a weenie. You can literally see everything. You're gonna look and see the whole land.
I guess.
There was a huge point I wanted to bring up that I don't think anybody else has covered, and I didn't quite recognise it until DLP Works shared their latest photos. And obviously, you're going, if you come out World Premiere and you go straight forward, we would understand that you take Adventure Way, which then takes you to Adventure Bay, and that is that. But did you notice right at the start, and I'm trying to find the photo, but I might have to pop it in the show notes later or something, there was a photo and it almost looked like they had built an overhead and it looks like there's going to be a gate, which made me think there's going to be the possibility that, much like Epcot, how World Showcase is closed, they would have the ability, I'm not saying they're going to do this, but they would have the ability at least to close the lake and keep the front end of the park open.
And you mean from the photo is taken from the Tower of Terror area, so more or less to the right of the Tower of Terror, right? I think I'm not sure, but I think that might be the access to a backstage area right beneath Parachute Drop. I think that might be it. Because on Adventure Way,
I wonder if this might be a new segmentation of the park. Like, it doesn't have to operate at full capacity.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to close half the park. It's Disneyland Paris. You never know. But still, I think that's a step too far. I think so. But they could close the park in sections. They're going to close the park in October for something like half the park's going to close earlier. Ratatouille, I think Toy Story and Worlds of Pixar is going to close earlier during one day, which it's kind of strange. Is it for filming, maybe for promotions, for?
The park is already. Party? I don't know about what you feel, but I feel it's too far along for the opening timeline we've been given. It feels like portions of it, at least. I'm not saying they will open it early, but it certainly would be within the realms of possibility that they could open portions of it early, because, I didn't think they'd be testing the tree lighting, for example, on the trees that go up Adventure Way. That seems like not we're used to, when they put in new parades and stuff, the lights turn up about a week before. When we're changing into the Christmas season or the Halloween season, the infrastructure shows up about a week or two before, and all of a sudden we're testing.
Yeah, absolutely. And even in World Premiere, that was the same. Like, one day there were no trees. 2 days after, there were the trees on a complete side with lights. And it opened like 2 days after. So, it does feel that a lot of sections of Adventure World are going to be complete in the upcoming weeks, maybe a couple of months. But, they really do want to open everything at once. And I think that makes sense. But that does mean that a lot of the areas are going to be ready for months until they finally open. Adventure Way being one of them.
on the market, and they're just going to pretend they never had a second park to begin with, and this is a new park.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is a brand new
Like-
park, a brand new experience. Forget everything you ever saw at Disneyland or at Walt Disney Studios. This is completely new. Absolutely, we're going to market this as a brand new park. Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell that this is like no, we've opened a whole second park. Don't look behind the green curtain. There was never a park there before. It's new.
Yeah.
I don't blame them if they can get away with that. A lot of people didn't treat it as though it was a full park, so I fully appreciate that. You can tell as well that we've got the Lion King. It seems to be speeding up. It seems to have all of a sudden found some sort of newfound energy to get built, and it's going to be exciting. It's going to be big. It's going to be dominating. It seems in part that this whole Universal GB thing has put a little bit of fire under Disneyland Paris, and they're suddenly having a good look at things, and they're like, what can we expedite? What can we get moving? What can we, what new stuff have we got to offer? And I think that the competition is going to be very good. They're obviously up against a 2031 opening of Universal GB. If they're up against that, I'm very excited because I think the Lion King has they've begun the foundations, which they can do without planning. But then they'll go vertical, and I think that we're going to move straight into another land. I think there's another one lined up, ready to... I just don't see how they can stop, because they have real competition coming.
No, absolutely. And since you brought the Lion King, the earthworks are happening. I saw them and I shared them on my latest construction update video that came out yesterday. So there's definitely a lot of stuff and a lot of works happening in that specific area. And if we see, we can already notice like the outline of the show building, of mostly the part of the drop that's quite straight, and then there's a turn. You can see that on the land, and it's quite interesting to see how fast they moved to get this thing started. Because Frozen and the whole Adventure World expansion, if you remove Avengers Campus from the conversation, that began construction in 2022. That's 4 years after having announced it in 2018. So it's great news to see them go into this so fast and so big at once. I do think, as you said, that Universal has a role to play in this. And honestly, I'm so excited.
They're testing something. Now, I'm still convinced it's mostly going to be a splash clone. I am convinced it's about an 80% splash clone. However, the fact they're testing something nearby, they've built this whole test infrastructure, and they're throwing boats down it, and they're testing something, obviously, suggests that there is at least a novel element in there. And it's not clear from the test what the novel element actually is. But it's very clear there is a novel element to this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things it might be... Yeah, I was thinking about this before. One of the things it could be is the angle and the height of this. But if you wanted to make it accessible to people in wheelchairs, or you wanted to make it accessible to people with accessibility, with the inability to easily get in and out of the car, you would need to do those sort of tests to see if they could is there a way to restrain it? And one of the things that you've noticed, I don't know if you've noticed about Disneyland Paris, but in the last little while, they've started to add rides. Like Ratatouille has the full mobility vehicle that's on the ride. They've got across. If you look at Rise of the Resistance, it was quite important. They don't just have the normal carts; they also have the accessible carts. And I think one of the things they're trying to do is be like, no, that Disney is for everyone. So if you do need a wheelchair, you do need some sort of, mobility assistance to get on the ride, they're trying to build that in. And I think that could be an element of the testing. How far can they push that? Because it could be the first water ride that has the ability to take people in wheelchairs if they can restrain them properly. This is me just thinking out loud, because it's not obvious what the element is they are actually testing.
Well, I would say, first of all, I've explored every inch of the blueprints that got released a couple of months ago, and let me just say, it's not going to be a splash cone, but we've been already over that several times, but whatever. There is a loading area specifically for people with disabilities or mobility issues. So effectively you have 5 different loading stations.
Which is
and that
mega.
one. No, it's ridiculously big. The Big Thunder Mountain has two, and Parts of the Caribbean has two. This is like a mix of both. It's like a baby. If they both had a baby, it's this. But it's very large, and that also has a role to play with the capacity of the ride, but not only, because the boats, rumors are that the boats are going to have individual like security, like the bar that you pull down. It's going to be individual and not like one for the whole row. And that's something that I'm not sure how the wheelchair would play into that. I do think that the testing is for the splash levels. We've heard Natasha Rafalski talk about how this ride is going to be open for, or it's going to be built to be operated for the entire year, and that means very cold days in Paris. And so that and also that the water levels, not the water level, but the water effects will be manageable, meaning during the winter, you can get like just a couple of splashes here and there. During the summer, you can get your whole body completely watered down, right? So it's I think, and this is just my theory, that they're testing how the boats react when they get sent down the slide on the drop. That does not explain
One
then
question
after.
I did have we seen it filled with water? Like, are there any pictures of the testing with water in it, or they always look dry?
I haven't seen it. No, I haven't seen it, but we've seen boats go down. So I'm not sure
And
how
was there
that.
water in it then?
I don't think so. We couldn't see the bottom. We just saw like it was a more ground view. But I don't think so, which could also mean that this ride can be operated without water in most sections, like the drop, which brings up, we can bring up Phantasialand with Chiapas, one of the world's best water rides, and I think just one, actually, the world's best water ride, ride trophy.
One way to guarantee that you don't get wet on a minus 12 day in Disneyland Paris is there's no water in it on that day.
No, exactly. So if you can go down a water ride without water, I mean, you're not going to get splashed, right? So it could be that. I'm not sure.
Anyway, we've got a question from Peter in the comments here. With any idea when the new Royal Restaurant bookings would be available for within Frozen? We don't actually know when Frozen's going to open. I mean, they've said what, spring. But that for Disneyland Paris, spring could begin at the end of January and end any time up till about June. So,
yeah, absolutely.
They've not been that helpful. If I was going to place money on it, I would guarantee. But I'm not going to guarantee because it's not within my gift. But I would strongly bet as long as you book after April 12th, it'll be open.
I would assume that mid-April could be a very, very promising guess. May is also, but I think they're going to open before that. If you really want to be sure about it, going June, maybe July, just to be sure, because it wouldn't be the first time Disney pushed back or delayed an opening of something.
It could open and be absolutely terrible in the sense that it breaks down an awful lot and it's unreliable, and this is new. They've got water rides at Disneyland Paris, but this is on another scale. So
no, it is, and I think they're gonna soft open it earlier. They're gonna do previews also. So some of the issues, the main issues, could be resolved then and should be resolved then, actually. But yeah,
for the restaurant.
It's very big.
I would imagine, just as a guess, that the actual booking capacity for the Royal Restaurant will be very, very small to begin with, so that they can, train the staff and get them used to it.
The thing is, you shouldn't need a reservation for the restaurant in Frozen, because it's a how do you call it, a counter service restaurant. So you shouldn't need one. You should need one for the larger Regal View restaurant that's on the other side of the lake.
Yeah. I think that's possibly what Peter's getting at.
If that is it, then yes. I mean, Disney usually opens reservations 4 months in advance. This is a brand new land, a brand new expansion. I don't think that goal will be met.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it'll be
possibly
very
two
limited to begin
months.
with. You'll get
Yeah.
the flip side of that is if they're doing really well, they will allow walk-ins. So
Hmm. Hmm.
I would look at it
No,
like that.
absolutely.
Um,
Now,
it
when it
is
comes
going to
to the
be. I mean,
opening date, no, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say they're quite good at making these things quickly available. We've seen with the Disneyland Hotel, there was a couple of weeks where it was only if you stayed in the hotel, but then they very quickly decided they were okay and they could have external guests coming into the restaurants and you
Hmm.
could book. And it doesn't take long. It doesn't. I mean, if you want to be there for opening day, set yourself up for disappointment in the sense the ride might not work and it might not actually be open, and that's why they don't give out the dates. If
Yeah.
you go for something June or July, you're pretty safe. You're going to get the full experience, and that's it will be a full experience by midsummer. Disneyland
Yeah, I
Paris
think
scale
so.
up quite quickly on this sort of thing, and this is their showpiece. This is the biggest thing opening in the Disney world of all countries next year. So
Yeah, absolutely. It's the largest opening in 2026 or any park. You have the big boat also, the new cruise, but that's
Disney
also has
Adventure.
it also has an adventure in the name. But yeah,
The
but it's
26th, the
it's
year of adventure.
yeah, the year of Disney adventure. But when it comes to the opening date, I think, and this is just once again a guess. Last year, Disney held a special Inside Ears event, like they themed it around Christmas, but it was mostly about what was coming in 2025. So what was coming this year, the music festival, the new show, and everything around that. I think this year the same thing will happen, and we've seen some rumors about a date in the late November, I think. So if you can hold on until November or early December, we should get an opening date then, and that's my guess.
We might
So
even
don't
get
book anything
invited
yet.
to the event. We might even get
We
invited to
could,
the
yeah,
event.
yeah. So someone
I
here
see
may go.
Jojo's on here. Jojo, keep your diary free. It's usually you that takes on for the team and gets along to this sort of stuff for us. You wanted to well, one other thing I wanted to bring up. Sorry, the Disney Village is obviously getting precariously close to actually, making it out of its refurb. McDonald's has gone vertical. It's an imposing big building at the far right hand side now. You have completed all the way along to the sports bar, so it's looking. It's. I don't think it'll be terribly long. I think we'll probably see it back open this side of Christmas, probably. And
Yeah, I think
then
so.
the two big pieces still to go on that whole block is we've got the Disney Store, which we know is closing and changing to Disney Treasures.
Disney
And
Wonders, I think.
was it Wonders?
I think so. I'm not sure actually.
I thought it was Disney Treasure. I don't know. I'm reading that from my own notes, which I'll have written without actually looking it up. And then Annette's is closing as well for its refurb to probably Annette's, but just Annette's, but updated. It badly needs it. It badly needs it, to be fair. And then we've got the Italian place that's opening across the road, which they're working on now.
Casa Julia, which began construction. Casa Julia. Yes,
yeah, Casa Julia. So we've got that.
Exactly.
They've also finished the Rosalie outside area now. So there's now you can now enjoy Rosalie for takeaway. You can enjoy Rosalie Express sort of thing, which is outside, and you can enjoy Rosalie inside for the full thing. Rosalie has taken over that whole section of
Disney Village.
Did we? I maybe imagine it, maybe totally tripping here. Did we not think there's a refurb or there's a retheme or there's something happening to Rainforest Cafe as well? Is it not due a bit of?
I mean, I haven't read anything about on that, but I would say so. Yes, I would think that the Rainforest is gonna. I mean, that whole side, the left side of Village, as you come into the parks, we still have nothing on what's happening there. So you have the Rainforest Cafe building, which also has the old nightclub on the top, Hurricane. Is it Hurricane? I think so. Then you have Hurricanes. Yes, exactly. You have the Chicago restaurant, whatever the name it is, the Steakhouse. Exactly.
The Steakhouse.
Yes,
Which is the most overrated
Starbucks.
restaurant in Disneyland Paris, by the way. I would strongly encourage you, if you go to Disneyland Paris, pick anywhere but there. That you're going to be...
Really,
A lot of people
I
seem
quite
really
enjoy
happy
it.
about it. Yeah,
I
but I
quite
mean,
enjoy
there's so
it.
many better. There are so many other options that are better. Like, don't waste
Yes,
your time.
that's true.
It's overly
That's true.
expensive for what it is.
No, yeah, absolutely.
And then of course, if we look at, we've completed the security screening now at the Hotel New York side. There's probably
Yes.
going to be a security screen system going in on the Hotel Newport Bay side, which hasn't been done. But we have now knocked down the Disney Events Arena. It's now gone. It's just flat land.
It has been removed. Yes.
And then Sequoia Lodge is confirmed now for its refurb, which is going to take place in stages and at no point is going to close entirely, which makes sense given they're opening an awful lot next year and probably need all the capacity they can get. So that also probably tells us, I mean, you're not going to get rid of the events arena. There's no reason to get rid of the events arena, which they just refurbished 2 years ago, by the way. They got rid of that, which has to mean there's a hotel going there.
I think so too. Yes, I think so too.
Either that or the Disney Village is going to be 3 times bigger than we expect it to be.
No, because I mean the whole thing around the new McDonald's building to the side of the old McDonald's, it's that they're gonna open a new street leading to Avenue Paul Seremy from the McDonald's from the old McDonald's area. So there's gonna be like Disney Village is gonna be like a triangle. But when it comes to the hotel, I think a new hotel is coming sooner rather than later. And if you also see the plans, the public plans for Disneyland Paris, you also see that since 1987, since the first plans were being drawn up, there is a very large convention center to the left of Avenue Paul Seremy that's currently a parking lot for cast members. I think, and this is just a theory once again, I think they may be doing something like building the new hotel on the lake and then the convention center, maybe perhaps with even a hotel of its own on that side, bringing it like a new kind of business into Disneyland Paris, because the events arena had a lot of convention centers. And
I honestly think it would be better building a proper arena, like a proper big arena. Like something that could host, rock concerts and pop concerts, and they'd be better putting something like that in rather than doing a conference center. Because the conference center, I don't believe, was ever that busy. It was busy occasionally, but it was never packed out or anything. So I think they could put a nice big stadium type arena in there that took 10 to 50,000 people or something, and really make something of it. They could. I'm not saying they will, but
yeah,
they could.
Absolutely. No, that could be a very interesting development. Yeah.
Huge amount of development there. Huge amount of development. So we've got, from Sequoia Lodge at the far side, then you come in and we've got the security gates that have been upgraded. I was slightly disappointed to see the security gates use old technology again. They've not moved to the Orlando technology where you don't have to take your bag off or anything. You can just walk through.
It's amazing.
But I don't understand why we've just built this whole new security infrastructure that, and then we've decided let's not use the new technology, we'll use the old technology. So that's really annoying because it means that they've been upgrading the security infrastructure and moving the fences and the gates in Disneyland Paris since about 2010. So it's been going on now for about 15 years. It means that once they complete this, I almost guarantee they're immediately going to begin upgrading the technology and refurbing it again. So we're probably locked at least in our 5 years of upgrades to security infrastructure that we've just finished upgrading. So I don't think there's anything there. I think without seeing the plans I really hope they can do something to get Vapiano and Five Guys within the Disney bubble as well, because that, I think, is a really annoying. When
that side, absolutely, it's very annoying. And when the new side of Village opens, as I was saying, from the new McDonald's, I could definitely see like a major rework of the Avenue Paul Seremy area and the roundabout, because it desperately needs it. And as you were saying, it's just stupid to leave the security bubble to go to Five Guys and then pass through a security checkpoint of its own, which is ridiculous. So it's absolutely. It really needs to become a part of the bubble.
Yeah, it does absolutely, and you've got the whole side of the cinema there as well. There's huge retail space available down that side, and it just doesn't get used because it's all outside the bubble. So I don't know how they do it. I mean, but I don't think it's beyond them to come up with a plan to make it just a little bit more cohesive. I'm trying to think what else we might not have covered. We do have a question in the chat from Rosario Bono. And it says, do you think when Adventure World opens that Disney will consider working on Park Disneyland, or do you think it will be after The Lion King at the earliest? I'll let Bernardo take this, because I think they probably won't work on it, because why bother?
Well, if you're asking like a new land or a major new project, like something on that scale, I don't think so. I think that will happen after The Lion King, not long after either, but after The Lion King. Although I do think, and I might have someone in my ear saying it's not going to happen, but I do think that Space Mountain will be undergoing a massive refurbishment and maybe a theme change in the coming years, and that will be used or would be used as like, for the third time, a brand new ride for Disneyland Park. It was in 1995. It was in 2002, 3, 4 with the Mission 2. I'm not sure when it opened. And it was in 2016 with Hyperspace Mountain. So I think they're going to use Space Mountain once again as a major new opening and a major new addition to Disneyland Park, while not having built actually anything new. Now, after The Lion King, yes, absolutely. I think something will be done to the Disneyland Park in an expansion fashion. When it comes to the theme, there are some rumors, but I think we can get on that a bit later on.
We can definitely get on it a little bit later on, and possibly we could do it, we could do as many podcasts we wanted on that specific thing. I think that, we've spoken in the past about Discovery's Edge, which is like putting another coaster in Discovery Land, but I'm honestly the belief that I think that would be down the road. I genuinely think the next thing that they would try and cram into Disneyland Park is going to be something like Mickey's Runaway Railway that can be done nice and simply, nice and cheaply. It's an easy addition. It doesn't, it's not massive on groundworks. It's not massive on, they've already got it in multiple other places. It was cheap. It's reliable. It eats people like nothing else. It's a fan favorite. And it's just the sort of thing that, would add something brand new to Disneyland Park, but wouldn't cost the world to do. And I think that's probably, I think the more I think about it, the more I think that's probably what's going to happen. I also think there's a good possibility that they'll take the Lion King Rhythm of Pride lands out, and I think that we may see a different show across there. It's quite sad, because I actually think they should keep it and just move it to. I genuinely think they should just move it lock, stock, and barrel across to Adventure World and just keep the show as it is, but in the Lion King land. But it didn't ever really fit where it was. It was always a bit sort of flung in the corner. It was always a bit like, I think we'll see something else happening there. I think that's a good possibility. And I'm off the opinion that they're not doing much with this riverboat. The Mark Twain basically sunk, and the other one is under massive refurbishment, and
the other one is currently sinking.
The other one's currently sinking. And if you cut, I don't know if you got a map up or anything just now, Bernardo, but if you cut just after Big Thunder Mountain, and you look at the Rivers of America, or the Enchanted Lagoon, I think it's calling it, or something.
Rivers of the Far West.
Rivers of is that what that's trying to say in French? I have no idea. But if you take the Rivers of the Far West, and you look at where Boot Hill is, all the way up to Frontier Playground, which is obviously where the trading post is, and it's got a little park. If you just cut that out, that's a massive piece of real estate that you've got in Disneyland Park that you could massively expand, inside Frontierland. And it's
so you're basically trying to bring the situation that's currently happening in Magic Kingdom with cars and the Rivers of America into our Rivers of the Far West. So that's basically
yes.
Okay,
Yes,
yeah.
I think you could keep the rivers of the Far West, but I think you could cut them in half. It doesn't have to be.
Okay. So kind of like
So
Disneyland did with Galaxy's Edge, then shortened
correct.
the rivers and okay. No, I mean it's true. There's a lot of space there, but I don't think they need to cut out a piece of the park yet because there's a lot of space to
Well,
use. It's currently
you've
not
not
being
heard
used.
why though.
Oh,
If
sorry.
you have a
Go
look,
on.
if
Yeah.
you have a look at that space in the park, this is something that Universal do very well with Islands Adventure and Universal Studios in Florida, and they've got the whole Hogwarts Express that goes between the two parks, which is insanely popular. And for
Yes, it
Disneyland
is.
Paris, there was never a point to it before because Walt Disney Studios always closed earlier and sometimes opened later, and there was reasons not to do it. But if you look at that space, you could absolutely have an attraction that then drops you in to, it drops you into the action. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could
Absolutely.
have that cross park sort of attraction. And I think that's a very attractive thing for them because, gone are the days where the gate matters. I mean, at Disneyland Paris, it's effectively like as long as you've got a 2-park ticket, it's one gate and you can walk between them.
Yeah.
And smoothing that out by having a direct park-to-park transfer that is an attraction could be a tantalizing prospect for them. And I think that...
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And if you really wanted, you could tie it into the car's Route 66, and it's the whole, transferring on Route 66. So we're going between, we're going from there. We're going to end up in the Adventure World. So I think there's some cool ideas that you could throw about for the future of Disneyland. That you could throw there. Rosie Bono's put in there as well. Don't forget there's 3 expansion pads in Fantasyland and near Discoveryland and DLP. I think the Discoveryland ones are going to be a bit longer in the future, and I think we're going to have to wait for a major expansion, which will need to get on a project board and be approved. I genuinely think they'll add something to Fantasyland before they do anything else because it can be done so cheaply, so easily, and can definitely be done without too much effort for them. And one thing we know about Disneyland Paris is if there's a low effort way to do things, they will absolutely jump on whatever car they've got and they will jump to it.
Absolutely. No, that's true. Every land has a major expansion plot. Even Frontierland, if you go behind the berm, you can see it right to the currently being used as the space for the horses. That's a Frontierland expansion plot, and I mean that's even closer to the studios and to the Cars Road Trip area than Frontierland itself. So maybe they could build something there. No need to, cut the rivers, or maybe they could do half and half. I don't know. Adventureland has a major expansion plot. Also, Fantasyland has 2: one behind the train station and one between Fantasyland and Discoveryland. And then Discoveryland has another one that you just talked about with Discovery's Edge and the Pizza Planet.
We'll need to ask the guy that does the really good cutouts of the maps from Google Maps and see if the Hollywood Hills amphitheater with Fantasmic would fit in the rivers of the Far West, and see if we could put the amphitheater, just dot it into the rivers of the Far West, and then we could have a full-size amphitheater for Fantasmic within Frontierland. How cool would that be?
I did that on my Disneyland Paris armchair Imagineering project. From the side of the current Theater of the Wild, I think it's a Frontierland Theater.
Did you?
Yeah, I did that.
Did you do a whole cutout and everything? I didn't see that. You need to link me to that.
I did.
We need to link to it. I know you spoke about it. I don't remember seeing the graphic, or I would have thought, what a great idea. I've probably just stolen your idea and packaged it as my own.
I drew it up and I shared it on a video. The Disneyland Paris 2040 project, armchair imagineering project. Yeah, had a lot of fun doing that.
So what do you think then, to wrap up the expansions within Disneyland Paris? What do you think is rolling next? And
so this is not my opinion. This is not my theory. This is a rumor that has been shared by others and not myself. And that is that Indiana Jones will soon say goodbye. There's a lot of reasons because of that, or behind that, being the roller coaster is at its end. Like, they're refurbishing it every single year. It's becoming impossible, and it's very hard to operate because of that. And Indiana Jones is not a huge IP in Europe, which is also quite possibly the main thing behind it. and that as Indy says goodbye, Moana says hello. So that could be an interesting way of expanding the park, because Indiana Jones blocks quite a large expansion plot also. So if they unlock that and if the whole space is used wisely, I think Moana would very well fit inside Adventureland.
I really hope it's not the Epcot attraction, because it's dreadful.
No, it would be like I think an actual ride, because that's a walkthrough attraction in Disneyland Park. I mean, it could be both, a ride and a walkthrough attraction.
The walkthrough attraction, I mean, it's novel for about the first time you go through it, but I don't think you wouldn't rush back.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. The last time I was there, it was still under construction, it's like half of Epcot.
If you're like 5 or 6, it's probably quite cool. If you're not 5 or 6, it's a bit. Maybe I'm not the target market yet.
You're probably not yet. Just thinking out loud, I think you're not yet.
Yeah, I'm probably not the target market. The other thing we probably need to talk about, which is just so whimsical, and it shows that Disneyland Paris do occasionally surprise us. The Lucky Nugget Saloon is changing to the Unlucky Nugget Saloon for Halloween.
Yeah, that was a very cool idea. I was half thinking they're going to just reuse the same decorations. They're still going to reuse the same decorations, but just do that. However, no. Some new bits of entertainment or theming or special theming is going to be put on, and the Unlucky Lagoon, the saloon. It's quite an interesting idea, and it'll be fun to see. However, I don't think there's like an actual show there happening. It's just decorations, which is a bummer, because that has a full-on theater.
It does, but I've got to say I'm very impressed they've come up with something for that, because it always annoyed me that, again, another thing they just didn't bother to, like, they got built they've refurbished like the castle stage, which looks almost identical to how the castle stage looked before. It's just got some dressing rooms and such in it now. And, it's the sort of thing that Disneyland Paris do. They go through these massive refurbs and then they do nothing with it. They've got the annual passport bureau that sits completely empty and could be one of the greatest additions to nighttime entertainment. You could have great views. You could have a restaurant. You could have literally anything in there, and they do absolutely nothing with it. And these are the little things that just, Lounge Lightspeed's quite cool. They've managed to make some money on Lounge Lightspeed, and I think that's quite cool because it's a different experience. And I'm really happy it's there. And then you've got something even closer to the hub and closer to the castle, and we've got nothing to do here. We can't really think anything. A big empty storage area. That's pretty much it. Occasionally the annual passes might get a photo here. It just, I don't know. It's nice to hear something.
But even Lounge Lightspeed, it was like this whole thing with characters and stuff, and then you got a bottle of Coke and 2 very bad crackers. So like, where's the Oga's Cantina drinks? I mean, they could charge a lot more for it and be actually like a fun and different experience. But no, it's like a paid meet and greet with a Coke.
Catology's here in the listening in. What did you think of Lounge Lightspeed? What was your opinion? You actually did it. Like, I've not actually been. The crackers were actually good.
Well, there we go. So 14 euros for a Coke and some crackers. You do get to meet the characters.
No, I can tell you. So
okay.
We went to Fleur de Lis, which is the bar inside the Disneyland Hotel.
Yeah.
And it is basically a scam running, because you get I think it's €9 for a bottle of cola that you can get for €5 in every other hotel around the lake. So it's €9. If you're very lucky, you sometimes get some peanuts and some olives with it, but over like 5 days, I think it happened once. It is so overpriced. The milkshake is an absolute farce as well. They have this €15 milkshake that they're saying is a great refreshing drink, but it's actually very, very little milk and very, very little ice cream in it. Instead, it's squirty cream, which you can't actually suck through a straw. So I don't know how you call it a milkshake. It's more squirty cream than it is actual, milkshake. I don't know how you get away with €15 charge on that, but they've been doing that. And the other big scam, and I don't know if you noticed this, because I don't know how much time when you've got a baby, you have to take a lot of downtime. So we went round to Sequoia Lodge to sit in the bar there and have a sandwich and stuff. But now it doesn't open until 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, really?
So yeah. So they've closed like these little venues that you used to be able to grab a ham sandwich or a cheese sandwich and some crisps, and now you can't till 4 o'clock. It doesn't open.
Oh, wow.
It's wild. And I think that's to try and push people to join the Golden Forest Club and upgrade their room to be, because now I think were we not seeing on the booking engine before, you can now have a Golden Forest Club room that's not a Golden Forest Club room. You can pay for access to the Golden Forest Club.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
So they're effectively charging you so that you can use what used to be a walk-in bar anyway. So it just seems a really bizarre thing. This is from the hotel, by the way. It has 2 restaurants and only ever uses one of them. So
yeah,
I mean, there's just one of my biggest bugbears, and let me know in the comments if anybody else has experienced this as well. But Disneyland Paris has absolutely no dinner reservations on the same day, and you really struggle if you haven't booked kind of bang on the opening of reservations. But at the same time, for whatever reason, they only open the restaurants from 6 o'clock at night, where you could reasonably open them from 3 o'clock in the afternoon or midday, or, there's no reason these restaurants need to be shut half the day. You lose half the available hours to them. Downtown, for example, in the Art of Marvel could be open literally from 12 o'clock every day, doing a lunch buffet, an afternoon buffet.
It would probably be full. Yeah, it'd probably be full because it's one of the best restaurants on property.
And they just leave all that money on the table, just literally left on the table. And people are so frustrated. And then when you go into things like they've built Billy Bob's buffet, which is absolutely bizarre because Billy Bob's is actually the cafe inside the Billy Bob's. It's the first floor inside the Billy Bob's dance floor, and then Lagrange was the buffet, which was on the 3rd floor of Billy Bob's. But actually now there's a Billy Bob's buffet, which is on the left-hand side of Billy Bob's. So there's now like multiple Billy Bob's, and it's just a total confusing mess. But that one again, 6 o'clock at night, Billy Bob's buffet and Lagrange open at the same time, 6 p.m. And they're you can struggle to get a reservation for them, but when you go in, they're half empty because, for whatever reason, they just don't offer up enough reservations. Like, come on, Disneyland Paris, there's money just sitting there. Take it.
I mean, you can still probably walk into most of them without a reservation, like a couple of minutes waiting. But yeah, why would not open the reservations? I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And it's these little things, like operational little things, that I just cannot understand. And there's so many of them throughout the parks and throughout the hotels. It makes no sense, these little small things that then add up to a lot of to a bigger thing. Well, but it's crazy. And all the restaurants closing very early, or the snack locations closing earlier when the parks open until like at 11. It bugs me.
It makes absolutely no sense, and it happens time and time and time again. And they do absolutely nothing about it. They've got their new kiosks that were designed to speed everybody up, and they don't take annual pass, they don't take discounts, they don't, come on, it's got a scanner on it. Like, that should have been day one sort of stuff. But let's not complain. We don't want to become a complaining podcast because there's too many things. Another question, do you think there's any other reason beyond costs that caused Disney to double down on the backlot theme to WGS entrance? I honestly was expecting them to do something similar to Buena Vista Street like DCA got. Beyond cost.
The backlot meaning like not reusing the space for a new street like as Buena Vista, or like the theming itself? Because the theming it's different. It used to be, well, technically it's different. It used to be a working studio environment, and now it's like you're actually in Hollywood. But I think cost was probably a very large decision maker here. Mostly because, let's not forget, this does not give Disney like a direct new line of profitability. It's just refurbishing currently existing spaces. The store is the same, the restaurant's the same. So they spent money on refurbishing the area because it was quite bad. But still, if it was like an attraction where they can make money off of Premier Access, Yes, I would think that this would have changed more. So yeah, cost was probably the biggest deal breaker here.
Yeah, I genuinely think that, it's not that broken and people can walk past it, so they don't. As much as it's interesting, because as much as we talk about in a podcast, there are 900 and X amount of people that are on our Discord server, and there are X thousand people that watch your YouTube videos, and there's X tens of people that watch my YouTube videos. Although I had a breakaway one that's done over 100,000 views, which I was quite impressed at.
It's the parade one, right?
It's literally just the parade. Like, there's nothing added to it. It's just the parade. Like, I was the most famous parade video on YouTube for about a month. I have no idea why either. The description and the title are literally ChatGPT. I didn't even write them myself. So, and the thumbnail is just whatever YouTube flung on it. So, I mean, it goes to show that if people are like, oh, thumbnail and title matters, trust me, occasionally it does not.
Yeah.
But we look at that, but the people who go to Disneyland Paris that are normal people, that are not weirdos like us, they just don't care. Like, if they don't like something, they walk past it. If they're not interested in something, they walk past it. Most of them don't care about Walt Disney. Most of them don't care about... For those of us that do, there's a statue up there, they've done the historic studios, and we can look up and see that, but they've done it as cheaply as they possibly could get away with. And, if they wanted to do more of that, they would need a lot more people to, double down on that sort of stuff. But the truth is, if they open another Marvel attraction, or they open a Moana attraction, or they do anything like that, all of a sudden they can market it, they can sell toys, they can sell Premier Access, they can, there's more they can sort of push from it.
So yeah, I do think it comes down to the cost, and the budget reportedly wasn't very high. It was just whatever was left from the expansion. So they were like, we're going to invest this amount, and you'll expand the park. Then with whatever there's rest, you can redo existing areas, which is what they've done. So yeah, but I really do think World Premiere is an upgrade. I really enjoy being inside. I think the music is god-awful and removes the complete immersion, and it should be changed. But that's something that I've already talked about quite a few times. So
one thing that I noticed that I was shocked to my core on is they have refurbished all the floats for Disney Stars on Parade.
Have they?
Yes, all the little mechanics are working and things are rotating. And
oh yeah. Mm-hmm. They've been redoing that whole thing. Yes, absolutely.
That suggests that Daft Parade is staying.
I mean, I would think that by the 35th anniversary, which is coming in 2027, a new parade was moving into the Disneyland Park. But maybe they can reuse the current floats for a new parade for Adventure World. I don't know.
It was in disrepair for almost 2 years. The fact they've refurbished it and made it work again just makes me think it's staying for a while longer.
Yeah, no, it's true. Mm-hmm.
I mean, most it didn't work for almost 2 years. And it lasted through like anniversaries and everything. In fact, some people genuinely thought that it was getting phased out. I mean, they stopped it because of the cavalcades and the seasonal parades, and that might have been the time to shoot it out the back. But no, it's back, it's refurbished, it's ready to go again.
Yeah. You even had a float that was cut in half with the Peter Pan float and the Captain Hook. Like half of it was removed for like a year or something. But no, it's complete again, and it's running better than ever. So that's good, I guess.
It seems like it's staying. I could be wrong. Mind you, they refurbished the Events Arena and then tore it down 2 years later, so it's not beyond them to go.
Yes,
exactly. To shoot it.
Exactly.
Is there anything else you want to cover? Because I'm conscious we are now pushing a sort of title that's an hour now, so if we go much over that, people start listening. Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, we've been through a lot of stuff already. We could maybe just end on D23. Maybe that also happened this year, and there wasn't a lot shared as we were expecting. The Destination D23 that happened during the summer. For the surprise of a lot of people, there was no parks panel which was an interesting thing. I was scrolling through the schedule and trying to see when the news regarding parks is going to be shared, but no, nothing. And there were some news. There were some news
if you don't share it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Exactly. There was some news shared on other panels, but nothing big.
I think there's a possibility, and it could just be me, but if you're going to do parks, and that's the bit that everybody likes, now keeping in mind that Destination D23 and D23 has been getting worse for people because they can't get into the panels they want, and it's been so oversubscribed, and it's usually parks fans that oversubscribe it, and everything else is kind of undersubscribed. And I think, just as a guess, they might try and de-link the parks stuff so that they can charge D23 for one thing, and then the parks can be a completely different thing that they can also charge for. Imagine the success they could have in having two chargeable events.
No, yeah, that's true. Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, technically, there's not even a point in going to D23 because if they announce something that is market sensitive to their stocks, they have to put out the press release anyway, and they have to release it word for word anyway. Because it has to be done at the exact same moment they announce it to that audience. So the interesting thing is that going to D23 is for the experience, but the parks, could be done at a completely different time because they are absolutely market sensitive information that has to be, globally announced by TWDC. So I think there's a possibility there. They also, one of the things about the parks thing is they can then hold the park stuff at the parks. Like they have venues and stuff they could fill in Florida themselves.
Absolutely.
They could absolutely.
But I mean, you were saying the parks panel is becoming one of the biggest ones. I think it's already the biggest one. I mean, last year they rented out the whole stadium for 3 events, and one of them was the parks panel. The other was the studios showcase, and I think was the last one for the Disney Awards. I'm not sure, but the parks panel is huge, and I could very well see like smaller parks panel happening all throughout the world. Even I mean, Disneyland Paris could have its own. Disneyland California, and we do have the inside ears thing, but it's not a thing that normal people can get into. I can't get into because I'm not inside ears.
But what I mean is, if you look at it, I think they would love to charge for inside ears, and it would just be like a D23 thing instead. I think they would do that quite easily if they thought they could get away with it currently, and they should do it. But
no, I think they should. Yeah.
What I was going to say is, how often do we see D23 happening? And then we have a recurrent joke on this about Random Ass Tuesday, which is just like the minute D23 happens or anything big happens, Disneyland Paris seem to sit and wait about 4 days, 5 days, or sometimes up to a month, and then all of a sudden they announce their own massive expansion that you think, well, you've known about that, but why did you just not mention it? Like, there's loads of things that Disneyland Paris does that just sort of go, oh yeah, we're just going to do that. We've come up with a plan. We're just going to run and
So, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So they're certainly not out with doing their own announcements, and they certainly sing their own tune occasionally, to what I'm sure is just a frustration to the people that organise D23, because they must be like, why could you not announce that at D23?
Why do this to us every single year?
The other big piece of news, well, it's not news, but the other big piece of discussion, I just want to leave this as a little teaser for possibly our next podcast, because it's going to be quite a big topic. But Bob Iger's coming up on the end of his contract, and he is off an age where I don't think he's going to renew, if that makes sense. He's steadied the ship. He's got a political scandal on his hand just now with Jimmy Kimmel. But they'll ride that out. I mean, Disney will get past that pretty easily.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think most people, there's the whole, I mean, in America, for the rest of us, it's kind of like watching, Trump being Trump and the rest of the world having to deal with what happens in the fallout there. And that's not a political view. That's just a, Donald Trump is certainly not someone. Yeah. It's just Donald Trump does things his own way, and, the companies of the world have to deal with them in certain different ways. Whether that's right or wrong is not for this podcast. But I think what we're gonna see is, at some point, Bob Iger's gonna be like, well, this is definitely not the nonsense I want to be dealing with. And
yeah, I think so too. Yeah, The contract ends when?
He's like
27 or 26?
Yeah, so let me just.
It's one of those two, I think. So yeah, the question is, who follows Bob Iger? I mean, he's been there for 20 years more.
Yeah, it was extended till the end of 2026.
Okay, so next year, if it comes, it's done. So who comes after?
And then usually you find with a new CEO, either for better or for worse, there comes the point that they have to make their own mark and they have to do their own thing and they want to announce their own projects. And, at that, it's going to be very interesting in how they choose to take Disney forward. And
absolutely,
it's a fairly stable company again. They've got a lot that could go well for them, a lot that could go wrong for them. They're doing very well in streaming now. They're making a profit there. They're making a profit in their parks. They're making a profit, although not as high as it was in their movies. So I think. I think that's
one of the major projects coming after the new CEO comes along will be Abu Dhabi, the new Disney park. But even that it's still gonna have that Bob Iger's mark because he announced it. He dealt with the beginning of it. So yeah. I mean, if they build a third park at DLP, that's a pretty big mark for me. I'd be very happy to do so. Please, thank you very much.
Yeah, I think we'll save it for another podcast. But I mean, there's huge opportunities, including Shanghai too. WDW5, DLR forward together, or whatever it is. That's effectively the third gate, but isn't a third gate. It's nobody will ever leave the main park, so we may as well just merge them all into a super park. And then you've obviously got DLP3, which I think is a nice way to say, look, we're doing big things. So, yeah. I think the next piece of news, if you're listening to this podcast, I think the next piece of news we're going to hear on it that from kind of left the field is I think we're going to hear hotel news for Disneyland Paris, and I'm convinced it's going to be the events arena bit. And I think that's probably, given they're doing land clearing there and their land grading, they have to have a plan, because otherwise you just leave the old events arena up until you had the plan. So
yeah, absolutely. It's still DLP though, so maybe you're giving them a bit too much credit. But I agree.
If you're going to wipe something off your balance sheet, and they've just refurbished it not long ago, if you're going to write that off as an asset, you have to have a good reason to do that, rather than just keeping it there as an asset. So I think you heard it first on this podcast. I like to say that, but I would imagine that's probably be the next big project we're going to hear at DLP is probably something to do with that pocket of land. And at that. That has been a roundup from me, and that has been the news from Bernardo, I'm sure.
Yes, that's it. Thank you very much.
And we will catch you in the next podcast, which hopefully will be, a much shorter time period.
Yes, hopefully. Hopefully there's some big news that we really have to cover also. But yeah, thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.